Hello, this is part 4 in how sacred geometry creates the four elements of fire, earth, air, and water. And in this video, I'm going to describe the things that are most important in creating the qualities of fire, earth, air, and water. So we've been building up a lot of ideas and a lot of details of how the four elements are created. And in this video, we get into the heart of what is most fundamental, most essential in creating what the four elements actually are and what their qualities are. So in the previous videos in this series, parts 1, 2, and 3, we saw how Pisano 6, Pisano 9, Pisano 12, and Pisano 10 create the zodiac. That these Pisano periods actually create the zodiac. And this is a radically new idea of what the zodiac is and how astrology works. So I have in bold here a definition of astrology, that astrology is cosmic vibrations that exist within structures in space. So there are vibrations, and the vibrations exist in something called space. Now, space was known in ancient times in the Asian continent, roughly where India is now, as Akasha. And I'll read a quote from Wikipedia about Akasha. Akasha is a term for either space or ether in traditional Indian cosmology, depending on the religion. In Vedantic Hinduism, Akasha means the basis and essence of all things in the material world, the first element created. So Akasha is like this substrate, this thing from which everything else is born. And very interestingly, now in the 21st century, scientists are coming up with a very similar idea to Akasha, more as space than ether. Well, ether and space are similar, but it's closer to the idea of space. So modern scientists propose that there are structures in space. So space is not just this amorphous thing that has no qualities to it. There are structures in it. And what we're proposing here in vibrational astrology is that one of those structures in space is the zodiac. And the zodiac is created out of these vibrations. And what we're going to learn in this video is the importance of Pisano 5. So we learned about Pisano 6, 9, 12, and 10. Now we learn about 5. And Pisano 5 combines with Pisano 10 to create the fundamental qualities of the elements. It creates what the elements really are. So we saw in the other videos that the elements are also created out of the other Pisano periods. But there's an interaction of Pisano 5 and 10 that creates the detailed qualities and the real power of the elements. Now, why are 5 and 10 so important? Because 5 is the vibration of exploration and organic growth. This is the basic concept of 5 vibration in vibrational astrology. And as you know, we have a lot of data as well as observations with clients, but it's not just personal evidence. In vibrational astrology, we have a lot of research that supports these ideas. And 5 is the vibration of exploration and organic growth, of curiosity and non-linear development. So living things, we have hands and arms, and our hands and arms are not crystalline. They're not rigid structures. They're rounded, they're smooth, they're flowing. We don't look like, little boxes like some kind of metallic robot. There's a fluidity, this organic quality to the living world. And this is connected to 5 vibration and any multiple of 5. 5, 10, 20. So 5 vibration and 10 vibration are very closely related. Any doubling of a vibration, if you take 8 and you double it, you get 16. In fact, we have 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, and so on. Those are what we call the hard aspects. They're crystalline, they're basic drives. These 5 vibrations are fluid, curious, exploratory, organic qualities of life. And this is where the richness of color and the organic forms take shape. So what happens is that the 5 vibration combined with the next octave, we call it an octave when you double a number. It's just like doubling a frequency in music. You get the same quality, like the same note. And 5 and 10 combine together to create the fundamental, powerful qualities of the elements. They are the elements. The air element is actually not air, not literally air. It's a vibrational quality. We're going to learn what it is. So we need to learn more about the 5 vibration and the 10 vibration and how they interact. So, as you know, if you've watched some of those earlier videos in the series, each Pisano period has some sequence of numbers. And the 5 Pisano period happens to have 20 numbers. So you might remember, just to refresh our minds, a Pisano period is Fibonacci numbers. And we put the Fibonacci numbers into a rhythm, into a flow, into a beat, through a simple idea of a modulus function. And with Pisano 5, every time we get to 5, we're back to 0. And here they are. Here are the 20 numbers of Pisano 5. You see them here. 01123, 03314, 04432, 02241. So they always go from 0 to 4, because that's, by definition, how Pisano 5 works. And every time we get to 0, as you might remember, we're at a beginning point. We're back to the base of the Pisano. We're back to the base beat. And there happen to be 4 sections for Pisano 5. Now, let's compare Pisano 5 to Pisano 10. So on the left side of this slide, I have the 20 numbers of Pisano 5 in the upper left corner. And I've arranged them into their 4 sections. In the lower left, we have the 60 numbers of Pisano 10. You might remember that there are 60 numbers. And there they are. They are also in 4 sections. So Pisano 5 and Pisano 10 are very similar. We're not surprised, because Pisano 10 is an octave of 5, and it works out that there are similarities in the patterns. And what happens in Pisano 10 is that we have a section of numbers that begins with 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, and then 5. So we have a section of 5 numbers that begins with 0 and then 5, 5. So you have this 0, 5, 5, 0, 5, 5, 0, 5, 5, 0, 5, 5. And you might remember that in the previous video, I showed how these 12 sections are the 12 zodiac signs. These are frequencies. These are growth cycles. These are, you could call them spiritual. They're so primal energetic forces in space that create these structures. And this structure we call the zodiac. And we see that the 5 and the 10 are very similar. The Pisano 10 is more intricate. It's more complex. It has 3 times as many numbers. It has 60 numbers instead of 20. And they're arranged very nicely in 12 sections, which are the 12 signs of the zodiac. So this is a common tendency. I have in bold in the lower right corner that higher Pisano periods tend to create more complex patterns and are associated with the complex and sophisticated experiences of living things. So the Pisano 5 we can think of as a kind of simplified Pisano 10. Pisano 10, with its 60 numbers and 12 sections, is more like a cathedral or palace, and Pisano 5 is like a simplified form of it. Or you can think of Pisano 10 as a beautiful piece of music, and Pisano 5 as some simplified fundamental concept behind it. I think you can see what I'm saying. Just look at the numbers. Both of them have 4 sections. If we think of a section as starting with 0, but each of the 4 sections in Pisano 10 can be subdivided into 3 subsections, because we get the 0, 5, 5. And 5 is half of the 10. It's like a half beat. The 0 is like bum, 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 bum. It's like on. And the 5 is like an offbeat. Bum, 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 bum. It's coming on the offbeat. So we have, these 12 sections of Pisano 60. 12 sections of Pisano 10. And they are the 12 zodiac signs, which is with the cardinal signs starting at 0. Now, what I'm going to show you is how Pisano 5 and 10 interact. These two notes, you can think of them an octave apart, how they create the 4 elements. Okay, this slide just repeats what I just explained. In the lower right corner, we can think of Pisano 5 as a simplified Pisano 10 that informs or modifies Pisano 10. So that's an important concept, a nice way of saying it. Think of Pisano 5 as informing or modifying or setting some kind of base quality for the Pisano 10. What has happened is that we have figured out this sacred geometry, that it's a very intricate, beautiful patterning in space, in this kind of primal reality. You can think of it as a spiritual dimension. By analyzing, thinking about these configurations, and our understanding of astrology and tying them together, a simple, elegant model has appeared. And this is how it works. So what we're going to do is very simple. As I explain in this lower right corner of the slide, we're going to place the Pisano 5 numbers within the context of the Pisano 10 numbers, and it creates a resonating system. Just like music would be rather boring if there was only one note. If all there was a melody line. No chords, no harmonies, only a single note. When we combine Pisano 5 and 10, we're creating more of the richness of life. And it's in this richness that the 4 elements take on their full power and glory, we could say. We saw the elements being identified, I think, in every Pisano period, but here they become alive with the power of 5, of organic growth, and the power of a harmony, an interval of notes, combining the 5 and 10, generated by these octaves. Okay, now, let me tell you a little detail. When we combine Pisano 5 and 10. We have a zodiac. Remember that Pisano 10 creates the zodiac. In this lower left corner, the 01123, this first section, that is Aries. It's not like Aries. This is not a metaphor. These vibrations, everything is born out of vibration. It creates the zodiac. This is Aries. Or let's put it this way, it's the source of Aries. It's what Aries is born from. And Taurus is born from 58314. Now, these ideas are so new, so different from the way we understand astrology that it takes a while to fully appreciate it, but we've gone through those first 3 videos in this series that really help you get the full feeling for this. Okay, now, typically we start with Aries, of course. Aries is the first sign. But there's something peculiar that happens. When you connect 2 different vibrations, like vibration 5 and 10, you might think we'll start at the beginning, right? Where else do we start? We start at the beginning. We start with Aries, but we don't. Surprise. We start with Scorpio. In other words, we connect vibration 5 and 10 at Scorpio. And I call this the Scorpio fusion point. Let me say this again. If you take 2 different things, such as 2 different frequencies, and you want to connect them, we connect them at the beginning of Scorpio instead of the beginning of Aries. Now, why the heck are we doing that? It might seem to make no sense at all, but there's a reason for it. And amazingly, the ancient astrologers knew this. When you look at the planets that rule the zodiac signs, how are they arranged? I'm showing it to you right here on the left side of this slide. In the ancient rulership scheme, before Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto were discovered, Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius, as you know. Jupiter rules Sagittarius and Pisces, Mars rules Scorpio and Aries, and Venus rules Libra and Taurus, and Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini, and the lights, the sun and moon, rule Leo and Cancer. And you have this ladder from the farthest away, the coldest, most distant Saturn, and you climb the ladder of evolution. You climb this ladder from Saturn to Jupiter to Mars to Venus to Mercury to the lights, the sun and moon. And how is this ladder arranged? It's arranged on the fixed cross. If we put Scorpio rising, we put 0 Scorpio on the left, we end up with this diagram. We could also put 0 Taurus on the left, and we would end up with the same thing. But for reasons I will explain in another video, because there's a lot to explain to this, it would take some time to explain all the theoretical reasons for this. It connects at 0 Scorpio, the fixed cross. Now imagine if somebody was to come up with an idea of planets associated with zodiac signs now, and they wanted to make some kind of symmetry. If we were to do this today, in the 21st century or back in the 20th century, I really doubt anybody would think of doing it arranged by the fixed cross. The fixed cross was considered essential because here's the bottom line, here's the rule. When you connect 2 different things, zodiac signs and planets, you connect them at 0 Scorpio. Or in other words, the fixed cross is what it ends up being. That's how it's done. Now, why? I have here on this slide, why is 0 Scorpio the nexus point? Why is 0 Scorpio the connecting point? Why is it the point that connects very different things or different levels? I will answer this question later. In fact, I'm going to answer it in a whole separate video because it takes a while. But for now, just take my word for it. To give you a hint, it's based on prime numbers. Prime numbers also create the zodiac. Not only do Pisano periods create the zodiac, but prime numbers also create the zodiac. It's part of the magic and wonder of nature. Anyway, let's not go there, okay? I'm just giving you a little hint. Let's just stick to the 4 elements and just believe me for now that we're going to connect Pisano 5 and Pisano 10 at Scorpio instead of Aries, just like the ancient astrologers used Scorpio as a starting point for rulers. I also use this idea to understand the connection between the tropical and sidereal zodiac. There is a connection. The sidereal zodiac is actually created out of the tropical zodiac from that 0 Scorpio point. Anyway, maybe I'm getting off track. I just want to say 0 Scorpio is a powerful I'm not really getting off track. It's a powerful connecting point between different things. Now, I'm just about ready to show you how this is created and most importantly for us practicing astrologers, how to interpret the 4 elements. Let's take these 20 numbers of Pisano 5. There they are again. These are the same 20 numbers I showed you before. And let's just add the numbers. You might remember that adding the numbers, we saw this in the first 3 videos in this series. You just add the numbers. And we get that the first sign is 7. 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 7. And the second one, 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 4, that's 6, 7, 11. 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2, 13. 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 1 is 9. So we have 7, 11, 13, and 9 are the numbers created in Pisano 5. Now we can simplify them by subtracting out 5s, but let's just leave them that way. Now, what is 7? It's very simple. 7 is Scorpio. That's it. 7 is Scorpio. Each of these 4 sections, the 4 sections of Pisano 5, are going to be connected to the more fundamental and important Pisano 10, because Pisano 10 has the 12 signs clearly defined. It is a rich, beautiful system of 60 numbers, and it resonates more directly and clearly with human life and any sophisticated life form, like plants and so on, and animals on planet Earth. So we're going to take the 5 vibration and place it within the 10 vibration. And we just put them in there. That's what this slide says. Let me read the bottom paragraph here. Pisano 10 is the more fundamental and important Pisano period for human life because it is a higher order, sophisticated structure in space that relates directly to the human condition. These very low Pisano periods, they're, you might say, kind of primitive. It's just like organisms starting at single cells. You have to build up. And when you start getting into Pisano 10, you're starting to get into the fullness of life. I've made a video on nakshatras, and they are made up by very high Pisano periods. So you might think high Pisano periods are less important. They're actually more important. Okay, but the Pisano 5 is almost the same as 10. It's the same note, and it's coloring Pisano 10. And here's what we end up with. The Pisano 5 placed within the rhythm of Pisano 10 gives us what we see in this white box on the left. This is what we've been leading up to. Drum roll. This is it. Fireworks. This is the key thing. Scorpio vibrates to 7. The next sign, Sagittarius, vibrates to 11. Capricorn to 13, Aquarius to 9, and then you just go right around the zodiac. After Aquarius, you get to Pisces. Let me show you that on the previous slide. See? 7, 11, 13, 9. Starting with Scorpio. 7, 11, 13, 9. 7, 11, 13, 9. Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius. And then you continue right around, and you end up with the water signs are all 7. The fire signs are 11, the earth signs are 13, and the air signs are 9. That is what the elements are. Water is actually not emotional. That they have emotional qualities, but it's more properly, more clearly 7 vibration. And fire is not literally fire, it's 11 vibration. Earth is 13, air is 9. And 7 vibration has something in common with water. But if you interpret Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer as having 7 quality, you will describe them better. And I've talked about this in other videos, like the videos on spiritual astrology, that if you look at the people who are psychic and clairvoyant and mediums, they actually do not have more Pisces than other signs. What's up with that? And you can look at all of these. The greatest intellectuals, whether it's in writing or science or any other area, they do not have more air. So if air is mental, why is it that people who are highly intellectual do not have more air? The reason is because air is not exactly mental. It's 9. So I'm going to describe to you what the elements are, and I think you're going to love this because it's actually how we think of the signs when you get down to it. So here is a circle with the Pisano 5 numbers placed within the 60 sections of Pisano 10. So we have the 0, 1, 1, 2, 3 starting at the top. That's Scorpio, because Scorpio is the beginning point, the connecting point between different octaves or different things. And Sag is 11, and Capricorn's 13, Aquarius is 9, and then it repeats all the way around. Pisces 7. So this is the same thing that I just showed you on the previous slide, but in the circular form. And by the way, I put in a circle here that this quadrant of Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn adds up to 31. That was just an observation. I don't know what to do with that with the interpretation. Just a curious thing that we end up with a 27, 29, 31, 33. Don't pay any attention to it. I don't know what it means. What I do understand and what's critically important is that the water signs are 7. So here it is again. Just to repeat, water signs, Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer, water. Are actually 7. Now, here's what the elements actually are. The fire signs vibrate to 11 through this interaction, you could call it the harmony or the interval of these vibrations of organic life, 5 and 10. Fire ends up being 11. That's its primary characteristic. And 11 is restless. It's hungry. It's moving. So Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius have this hunger, this movement to them, this dynamism, which is kind of what we're already saying with fire. We're saying they're energetic. I would prefer to say that they're restless. They're not content to be still. I'm going to go through every zodiac sign and relate it back to these numbers. But let's, get the overview first. Now, earth signs. I've mentioned this in videos on spiritual astrology. It's common in astrology to say that earth signs are grounded, that they're, practical, that they're not as inclined to have as much imagination and vision. And in one of the videos on spiritual astrology, I explain how I think we have the pyramid of life upside down. We're thinking that matter is primary, and Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn are like, these fundamental facts of the physical world, and you have to kind of slap them around or wake them up or do something to get them interested in anything imaginative and creative. But actually, life is born the other way around. Let's read it from what I have on the slide here. As I mentioned in a series of videos on spiritual astrology, mind is not born from matter, but rather matter is born from mind or spirit or inspiration. The spirit, the inspiration, the energy is more fundamental, and matter is born out of it. Earth sign, that's abstract philosophy. Here's the concrete thing for astrologers. Earth signs are not dull. They're not limited. They're not constraining. When we study the charts of gurus and mystics, they have just as much earth as they do water. Well, what's up with that? What's up with that is that the earth signs are alchemical. They're taking spirit inspiration and applying it, making it something that we call material. They bring spirit into matter, or mater, or manifestation, or the mother, the manifest. It's alchemy because everything is born from magic. Everything is born, whatever you want to call it, mind, inspiration, spirit. That's the source. And the earth signs are actually signs of transformation. Wow, this just, for some astrologers, it takes a while to even fathom that this could be true. Like David, you're saying that Taurus, that plodding, stubborn, materialistic, money-grabbing, dull-witted, about the only good thing I could say about them is they like trees and flowers. You're going to tell me that those plodding Taurus people are actually magicians, alchemists who take spirit and transform it into our lives in front of us? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. I think we've twisted the meaning, and Virgo is not, and Capricorn are not these dull, plain. They can be. That's actually the negative manifestation. The horrific thing that's going on in astrology is we've taken the worst tendencies, which are actually dysfunctional, and we're saying that that's the functional real quality. So that's not helping your clients by defining them as the dysfunctional potential of the sign. Okay, and the air signs, they're not actually literally intellectual. They are relating, connecting. They are 9 vibration. 9 moves out into the environment and absorbs it. It's like a sponge that absorbs everything around it and relates and connects it. Air signs are signs of connecting and relating. Well, that's kind of mental, you could say, but it's better to say what it is. You could say earth signs are mental. In order to transform something, you have to understand it. You have to see it. I mean, everything is mental in a sense. It's better to say what the air sign is. It's 9. It's reaching out to, to its environment and seeing relationships and making connections. And Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius are signs of interconnecting and relating in three different ways. And what are the water signs? Are they really emotional? What they are is they are seven. They're deep. They're deep. They're inner. They're ponderous. Don't we say that about Scorpio? That magnetic quality? Scorpio is actually about fusion, as I describe in a video on the zodiac signs. But that fusion is done at an inner, meditative level. That's why Scorpio is prone to jealousy, for example, as a negative possibility, and charisma and intensity as positive potentials, because it's an inner connectedness. It merges in this instinctive, quiet, deep way. And Pisces is eclectic, but is it eclectic in a, quick-witted, cerebral, superficial, intellectual way? No, it's instinctive. So the water signs work at this quiet, deep, ponderous level. Same thing with Cancer. It's quiet, deep, it's feeling its home. It's feeling its heritage. It's feeling its place. So in a way, you could call that emotion. It does have an emotional quality to it. But when you think about what the signs actually are, the vibrations, you get a clearer, better understanding that you can communicate to your clients. So you're not saying, oh, no wonder you're so emotional. You have Pisces in your chart. No wonder you're so, better to say, no wonder you're so deep, instinctive. It's a kind of meditative inner connectedness is what's going on, right? So it's just better words. So I'm not saying there's not an emotional quality to it. I'm just saying it's a better way to describe it because that's what the elements actually are. What's amazing here is that when you see what the vibrations of the elements are, it's actually the way we think. As astrologers, we've been forcing ourselves into categories that actually don't fit that well. We keep saying water signs are emotional when we really mean they're deep and ponderous. That's what we're really saying, and instinctive. It's a better term for it. They're seven. Seven means the quiet depth of things. Okay, so let's look at each sign quickly. The water signs make deep inner connections. Cancer builds an inner home of the soul, right? Scorpio bonds in a deep inner way, and therefore the intensity and inner, often hidden nature of it. I'm just reviewing. Isn't this amazing? It actually fits the way we think about the signs. That these water signs are actually seven. And Pisces is eclectic. It pulls all these different things together. How does it do it? In a deep, inner, intuitive way, not a highly verbal way. So it is true in a way that water signs are not highly verbalized. They're deep and inner. So it's true that there's an emotional element to it. This is just a clearer, better way to understand it because of what the signs actually are. Water signs are not really water, they are seven. Maybe we should call water signs seven signs. Well, we're not going to change the language of astrology. We just have to really understand what it means. So up at the top, water is seven. Do you feel it? Do you get it? This can really help with your interpretations with your clients. And 9, the air signs are 9. Now, 9 is not deeply personal. 9 moves you out of your personal world into your surroundings. You'll often find people with strong 9 vibration aspects in their birth chart. Their friends are closer to them than their family. Closer than their brothers and sisters are the friends they make in the world, who they share similar perspectives with, who are connecting things in similar ways. So we often think of 9 as connected to the Great Mother, and we think of the Great Mother as emotional support and so on. There's a Great Mother quality to 9, but it's not so much this great compassion and emotion of that is 9. 9 is about the feeling that we're all in this together. There is a bonding, there is an emotion, but it's not highly personal. It's sharing. 9 has got more to do with friendship, interconnectedness, than with deep personal things. Deep personal things are water. So 9 reaches out. So what does Gemini do? Gemini's curious. Oh, look at that. Oh, what's that? How does that work? Why is the sky blue? It's making connections. It's 9 moving out of your personal world to see. Before you can connect with your environment, you have to see the environment. You have to have some curiosity about the environment. Gemini is like a first step of 9 vibration. I'm going to make friends with that world out there. I'm not going to just live in my home. I'm curious about it all. Not in any deep, heavy, metaphysical way. 9 is not that way. And then Libra, of course, is forming the relationships. That's what Libra is a 9 vibration quality as well, of relating, communicating, connecting. And Aquarius, instead of being one-on-one like Libra is more involved with the collective and how the network, how the organizations, how the groups, how they are related, what philosophy, what attitude, what perspectives do they share in common, and how do these collective activities develop. That's what Aquarius is. They're all 9 vibration. 3 different stages of 9. 7 is also 3. The water signs are 3 different stages of 7. This is what the elements are. I'm spending some time on this because it's so critically important that we understand what the elements actually are. The fire signs, there's a bit of instability here, hunger. Aries really wants to be honest. It really wants integrity. It's not going to sit still until it gets it. So why is Aries considered to be a warrior and fighting? Because if there is dishonesty or even lack of transparency, hiding things, fooling, playing games. Oh, Aries can't stand this because it's an 11 energy. So Aries is looking for a beginning point of honesty and sincerity and integrity, but it's jumpy about it. It's 11 vibration about it. It gets uncomfortable quickly. So this is the fiery element of Aries, this feeling of immediacy. We need to be honest now. So Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, they're like hot irons. Something's got to happen. And this is what happens with Leo. We say Leo is a fixed sign, and it does tend to be Leo. But Leo's need for personal self-expression, to develop their individuality and integrity, is such a pushing force. Leo is not happy until it can do it. This is why Leo often has such a big ego, or so self-absorbed, because the need is strong. It's a fire sign. It has that freshness, that life and vitality of fire, of 11, of restlessness. And Leo actually needs to constantly rediscover itself, reinvent and recreate as it grows and matures and experiences different things. So you'll find with fire signs there's a need, a movement. It won't sit still. Leo, maybe not quite as much as the others because there are other things going on. It is a fixed sign, but still, that's where that pressure comes from. And of course, let's go on to Sagittarius is always on the move. That's obvious. Sagittarius, restless and on the move. The earth signs are not just anchored to the concrete, shut off from fantasy and imagination. Earth signs are alchemical. They transform things into concrete form. Taurus brings the unfolding way, the Tao, into manifestation. It blossoms and grows. It brings the natural organic life force into manifestation. It builds, it gardens, it grows, it works in the natural world. It brings these essences of spirit, the essential oils, the qualities of the herbs. It brings these energetic qualities into manifestation. Taurus is more of an alchemist than anything else. And remember that materialism is a negative tendency of earth signs. Earth signs can become enamored with what it makes and forget their source. This is a negative tendency, not the natural tendency. Virgo, I've made a video on each zodiac sign based on a data-driven approach of what people who are in the database who have the most of a zodiac sign, and we present there that Virgo is bringing the purity and perfection of geometry, of crystals, of perfect functioning into manifestation. It's a precipitation. And Capricorn brings pure consciousness, a transcendent awareness, an awareness beyond our lives. And it brings it as mindfulness, witness consciousness, reflection, objectivity, clarity, the ability to see things like a photograph rather than imbued with our personal feelings and our projecting ourselves on things. So Capricorn is actually a bringing of pure consciousness that's not limited by personal expression into our lives. And it gives this objectivity. Used negatively, Capricorn can be manipulative because they take this objectivity and are able to manipulate things. And it can even be abusive. But very often, the traits that we're emphasizing for zodiac signs are negative potentials rather than their inherent beauty. Capricorn is transformative because it brings simple universal awareness to human affairs. Every zodiac sign, everything in astrology, operates in space, in Akasha, and has a higher spiritual purpose. And by the way, just as a final point here, I am basically done now with explaining what the four elements really are. I just want to mention to you that Pisano 8 creates 12 numbers. So remember, the low Pisano periods, low Pisano numbers often have short sequences, 12 numbers. Each zodiac sign becomes a number, and if you add the fire, they equal 8, and since we're in Pisano 8, that's 0, the air equals 0, the earth equals 0, the water equals 0. It's just amazing how every Pisano period has elements. And basically, Pisano 8 says, Aries, Leo, and Sag, you are so tightly connected. You are intimately related. You are part of one very tight subsystem, one energetic or geometric system. That's all it says. And it leaves it to Pisano 5 and 10 to put the color, the life, the organic quality of exactly what that means. Anyway, it's amazing. And there's all kinds of other patterns here, how feminine signs and masculine signs have things in common. We don't need to go into all of that. There's so many ways it's done in so many Pisano periods. This is the beautiful, intricate, delicate, sacred geometry. How in space there are vibrations and frequencies of growth and life that develop the structures and the zodiac signs and the qualities of the four elements. I've been working on this for years, and as you work on this, you can actually watch these videos several times. You begin to feel how all of these things are working together, and how within the context of the more crystalline structures of 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and the basic flowing lines, you could call them, of 3, 6, 9, 12, are then filled out and brought to life by 5 and 10, and how they create the essential qualities of the elements. So we have learned what the elements actually are, and what they actually are is how we actually think about the zodiac signs. And forcing water signs to be called water actually distorts it. So this is very reaffirming. So some conclusions. We're basically done. This is a long video. Oh my gosh, it's going to be an hour long. The four elements, let's just review. The four elements are created out of many Pisano periods. And the quality of the four elements is most clearly defined by Pisano 5 within the context of Pisano 10. Okay, I'm just going over some things. The zodiac is a structure in space created by the rhythmic growth sequence of Pisano periods. This is what the zodiac actually is. This sacred geometry creates the zodiac and the seasons. You know, sometimes we say the tropical zodiac is seasonal. Actually, the tropical zodiac, it's not that it's based on seasons, it's that seasons and the zodiac are both based on sacred geometry. Seasons and the zodiac are like two brothers or two sisters who are both born from sacred geometry. That's what's going on. Sacred geometry is the cause of both, which I can talk more about that and have hinted at it a little bit in some other videos. So I have it here, the last sentence. The parent of the tropical zodiac and the seasons is the sacred geometry. A summary of some underlying principles, just very briefly. Einstein, David Bohm, Nassim Haramein, and other scientists explain that space is a kind of thing that exists. The mathematical formulas indicate that there is space, but space is something we can't understand clearly with our minds. It's kind of an abstract thing, but the formulas in physics suggest that there's this thing called space. The ancient religious texts in Hinduism talk about this space, this underlying substrate of life. And it's as if there's like a little jiggle in space that appears as things. Anyway, it's a little abstract, but just to go over some points that we use in vibrational astrology that are closely tied to ancient mystical and religious ideas, and also closely tied to modern scientific ideas. Remember that space is almost everything. The distance between planets, between galaxies, between electrons is enormous. Almost everything is empty with just vibrations in it. So everything we're doing in vibrational astrology is consistent with mysticism, with religion, and with science. Space is a kind of underlying thing behind what we see. And there are structures in space, and I am proposing that zodiac signs are structures in space. Scientists have not yet discovered the zodiac signs as a structure in space, but they will. They are there. we've discovered them and ancient people have discovered them. I don't know how the ancients figured this out, but picking up with hints from the ancient material and using them and understanding a lot of different things, we've put this all together. Also, another critical thing is spin. These structures in space are created by spin, and I'm going to talk about that more in a part 5 of this series. In part 5 is an addendum. To understand the elements, you don't need to watch part 5, but I'm going to make another video on the Scorpio fusion point. Why is Scorpio, zero Scorpio, the fusion point between Pisano 5 and 10, and why did the ancients create the ruling planets of the zodiac signs symmetrical on the fixed cross? I'm going to show you the vibrational basis of that. The amazing thing is that there's a vibrational reason for all that. I'll explain that in a separate video. This next video, this 5th video in this series, it's not actually so much a 5th video in the series, it's kind of just an addendum on why there's a Scorpio fusion point. If you're primarily a practicing astrologer, it's not that essential, but if you like to understand the underlying theory, I think you'll find it fascinating how vibrations created out of prime numbers also create vibrations, and Fibonacci numbers do, and amazingly they all create similar structures. It's part of the magic of life that different things are drawn into the same result. Okay, my friends, we have learned something very important: what the 4 elements actually are. They are vibrations in the structures of space. Well, thank you very much for listening. God bless. Namaste.